Welcome back to my channel. Tonight we dive into the most shocking and disturbing moment in the entire SisterWives saga, a moment that might finally end Kody Brown's empire once and for all. In a fit of uncontrollable rage, Kody didn't just shout, threaten, or throw words, he acted. And what he did next has shaken the Brown family to its very core, leaving Janelle standing on the ashes of a dream, and Kody facing what could be his biggest legal nightmare yet. According to multiple inside sources and newly surfaced court documents filed quietly in Coconino County, Kody Brown has crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. This isn't family drama anymore. This is destruction. They're calling it the Bulldozer incident. On a quiet, deceptively beautiful afternoon at Coyote Pass, that same piece of land once promised as the family's sacred paradise, Janelle Brown arrived, just as she often did, to walk the soil she dreamed of calling home. She wasn't building yet. She was reconnecting with her vision, her peace, and her hope. In the center of her lot stood a breathtaking grove of ponderosa pines. Towering, ancient, and silent, they were her sanctuary. To anyone else, they were trees. But to Janelle, they symbolized roots, stability, and the kind of peace she had been denied for years. And then Kody arrived. Witnesses say the dust rose before he did. His truck screeched to a halt beside Janelle's car, and he stepped out, his face storm-dark, his jaw tight with the kind of fury only a wounded ego can produce. The argument started, as it always did, and with money. Kody, desperate and cornered by mounting legal bills and the collapse of his so-called one-house dream, once again demanded control. He accused Janelle of being selfish, of thinking like Christine, of betraying the family vision. Except it wasn't about family anymore. It was about control. Janelle, calm but resolute, refused to back down. She reminded him of every dollar she had poured into that land, the same land he was now treating like a personal kingdom. And that's when something inside him snapped. According to our insider, Kody's face twisted with rage. "You and your precious trees," he spat. "You care more about this dirt than this family. This is my land. All of it." And then, in a roar that echoed through the empty Coyote Pass, he shouted, "This is mine. I am the head of this family. You don't make decisions, I do." He slammed his truck door, peeled away, and left Janelle standing in a cloud of dust, her sanctuary trembling in the silence that followed. But here's where the story turns from anger to something much darker. That drive away? It wasn't retreat. It was premeditation. Instead of cooling off, Kody drove straight into Flagstaff to a heavy equipment rental yard. At 3:45 p.m., he signed paperwork using the family's business account to rent a Caterpillar D6 bulldozer. His reason? Fire mitigation? But there was no brush fire. No debris clearing. Just a man hell-bent on proving that if he couldn't control Janelle's dream, he would destroy it. And that's exactly what he did. At 5:12 p.m., a neighbor's high-definition security camera, mounted on a pole overlooking Coyote Pass, captured the horrifying scene. A bulldozer rumbling into frame. A man at the controls, unmistakable hair, posture, and movement. It was Kody Brown. Witnesses say the footage is gut-wrenching. Trees toppling, dust rising, and Janelle's sacred grove torn apart. This wasn't rage anymore. This was revenge. And now, legal experts say this footage could be the smoking gun that destroys Kody's finances, reputation, and possibly his freedom. Because this wasn't just property damage. It was an act of malicious intent carried out using joint family funds. Janelle's legal team, according to insider reports, has already moved to file for damages exceeding $500,000. And with this kind of video evidence, Kody's defense looks almost impossible. What began as a family argument has now spiraled into a criminal and financial reckoning, one that could tear down everything Kody and Robyn have built. So what happens next? Sources tell us that Janelle is not backing down, and that this may be the first of several legal dominoes to fall. Because in trying to destroy Janelle's dream, Kody may have bulldozed his own legacy. The timestamp glows in the corner of the footage, cold, digital, merciless. A silent witness to one of the darkest acts ever committed on Coyote Pass. This isn't a shouting match or a broken promise. This is destruction, deliberate, methodical, and horrifying. The video begins with the low growl of an engine. Kody Brown, in the driver's seat of a Caterpillar D6 bulldozer, doesn't hesitate. He doesn't even look around. He starts at the edge of Janelle's beloved pine grove and begins to move forward. What happens next feels almost unreal. The first pine, tall and ancient, easily a century old, stands its ground as the steel blade presses against it. For a brief moment, nature resists him. Then a deafening crack. The tree shudders, splinters, and collapses with a thud so heavy you can almost feel it through the screen. But Kody doesn't stop. He reverses, shifts gears, and plows into the next. And the next. And the next. For 45 excruciating minutes, the camera captures a scene straight out of a nightmare. He's not clearing brush. He's erasing the soul of the land. Each crash of timber, each groan of the bulldozer echoes with a sick, twisted satisfaction. The sound of a man asserting power in the ugliest way possible. He drives over fallen trunks, grinding them into splinters. He lowers the massive steel blade, carving deep scars into the earth. The soil churns under the weight of his rage. The once serene grove, Janelle's sanctuary, becomes a battlefield of crushed wood and diesel fumes. At one point, Kody stops. He climbs down from the bulldozer, stands in the center of the wreckage, and surveys what he's done. There is no regret in his eyes, only a grim, twisted pride. He looks like a man who has conquered something, as if by destroying Janelle's peace, he's reclaimed his throne. Then at exactly 5:58 p.m., he turns the bulldozer around and drives away, leaving behind not a home, but a scar. A scar on the land, a scar on the family, and a scar that will never heal. The next morning, Janelle's phone rings. It's her neighbor, the quiet man who owns the adjacent property. His voice trembles. "Janelle, I think you need to come out to your lot. Something terrible has happened." Her stomach drops. She imagines maybe a wildfire, maybe vandals, but nothing could have prepared her for what she saw. When she pulled up to Coyote Pass for a split second, she thought she was in the wrong place. The familiar pine grove, gone, erased. In its place lay devastation, piles of splintered timber, broken stumps jutting from the dirt, tire tracks carved deep into the wounded earth. The air no longer smelled like pine and sun-warmed soil. It smelled like diesel and loss. She stepped out numb, walking slowly toward the wreckage. She touched the jagged remains of one of her pines, tracing the rings that marked its long life, a century's worth of growth destroyed in under an hour. And in that moment, the numbness gave way to something deeper. Grief. Pure, unfiltered grief. But beneath it, another emotion began to rise, sharper, colder, more precise. Anger. Because this wasn't an accident. This wasn't weather or negligence or fate. This was personal. This was targeted. This was Kody, and that realization changed everything. Janelle didn't call him. She didn't beg for an explanation. She didn't even call the family. She made 2 phone calls, one to a real estate appraiser and one to a civil litigation attorney. This was no longer a family issue. This was war. When the appraiser arrived, even he was stunned. He'd seen flood damage, fire damage, but never this. Never deliberate destruction on this scale. He explained calmly that land value isn't just about acreage. It's about character, topography, features. And that grove of mature pines? It was the crown jewel of the property. Shade, windbreak, beauty, value that takes generations to replace. His final report was damning. 2 numbers, before and after. Before, a thriving, premium lot with irreplaceable natural assets. After, a scarred, gutted wasteland requiring tens of thousands just to be buildable again. The loss, $150,000, gone, in 45 minutes. When Janelle met with her attorney, a sharp, fearless woman known for dismantling men like Kody, she laid out the evidence. The report. The footage. The damage. The lawyer watched the video in silence. When it ended, she looked at Janelle and said, "This isn't a lawsuit. This is a collection. You already won." Her plan was surgical. They would sue Kody Brown and the family's corporate entity that held the land, meaning Robin, as co-owner, would also be implicated. The charges: trespass to chattel, conversion, and the most damning of all, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Because this wasn't just property damage. It was emotional warfare. The day Kody was served the papers, the Brown household erupted. Kody's reaction was as predictable as it was pathetic. He ranted, insisting, "It's my land. I was managing family property." He tried to turn the narrative, painting Janelle as dramatic, irrational, another Christine. But this time, his words meant nothing. Because there was video, there was evidence, there was truth. Robin, meanwhile, spiraled into panic. She saw it instantly. The public relations disaster, the financial ruin, the end of their carefully staged image. $150,000 in damages, plus legal fees, a hit they couldn't survive. Their family lawyer didn't sugarcoat it. He told Kody point blank, "There's no defense. The footage is clear. Your actions were deliberate. Your intent was malicious. If this goes to trial, Janelle won't just win. You'll be destroyed." His advice was brutal and final. Settle, quickly, before it gets worse. But Kody refused. Trapped in his own delusion, he still believed he could talk, twist, or bully his way out, the same way he always had. But this time the world wasn't buying it. Because for once, Kody Brown wasn't in control. And this time, there's no bulldozer big enough to bury the truth. There's no bulldozer big enough to bury the truth. This was the breaking point. For years, Kody Brown had built his world on control, emotional, financial, and spiritual. But now, that foundation was crumbling beneath him. His arrogance, his denial, and his obsession with appearing like the victim were about to cost him everything. When Janelle filed her lawsuit, Kody didn't just fight back, he raged. He claimed he'd countersue, though even he couldn't say for what. He was so blinded by pride that he couldn't see what everyone else could. This wasn't a battle he could win. It was the hill he would die on, legally, financially, and publicly. Janelle's attorney, calm but relentless, watched his every move. When Kody refused to settle, she escalated. She filed a motion for summary judgment, a devastating legal maneuver that essentially tells the court, the facts aren't in question anymore. Just give us the win. And attached to that motion was everything Kody had hoped would stay buried. A neighbor's sworn statement, security camera footage showing the bulldozer incident, a detailed real estate appraisal report, and worst of all, the rental agreement for the bulldozer, signed by Kody Brown himself. It was checkmate. The judge, a woman known for her sharp intellect and zero tolerance for manipulative behavior, reviewed the evidence and made a decision that stunned everyone present. She not only ruled in Janelle's favor, she went further. In her written order, she referred to Kody's behavior not as a property dispute, but as a prima facie case of domestic abuse carried out through the destruction of property. That single phrase changed everything. This wasn't just a civil lawsuit anymore. It was a moral indictment. The judge had seen enough. She saw Kody not as a frustrated husband or business partner, but as an abuser. The bulldozer wasn't a tool. It was a weapon. And for Kody and Robyn, that ruling was the moment the floor gave way beneath them. They weren't just facing money trouble anymore, they were staring down public disgrace, the kind that sticks forever. Still, Janelle wasn't finished. The court ordered a mandatory settlement conference, and according to a courthouse insider, it was brutal. Kody and Robyn walked into the judge's chambers pale, tense, and defiant. Janelle sat calmly beside her lawyer, her focus fixed on the judge, not once glancing in Kody's direction. That silence said everything. This wasn't a marriage anymore. It was a reckoning. The judge began by addressing Kody directly. Her words cut like a knife. She told him she had personally watched the footage of his bulldozer rampage multiple times. She called his actions vindictive, appalling, and a shocking display of coercive control. Then she made the threat that turned their blood cold. She said that if this case went to trial, she would allow testimony about their entire relationship history. She would make the property destruction the final act in a long pattern of emotional and financial abuse. It meant only one thing. The entire Brown family dynamic, the one they'd built their TV empire on, would be dragged into the light. Then came the final blow. The judge leaned forward and told their lawyer, "You have one chance to resolve this today. If your clients do not make a serious offer, I will set a trial date and unseal the video evidence for public record." Everyone in the room knew what that meant. If that footage ever went public, Kody and Robyn's careers were over. TLC would distance itself instantly. The SisterWives brand would be radioactive. And that's when Janelle's lawyer struck her masterstroke. She calmly announced that due to Kody's bad faith behavior, and the court's own declaration that this was a form of domestic abuse, the previous demand of $150,000 was no longer sufficient. She presented a new settlement proposal, one that would end Janelle's connection to Kody and Robyn forever. It had 3 parts. First, Kody would pay $150,000 for the property damage, non-negotiable. Second, Janelle demanded a full buyout of her entire financial investment in the Coyote Pass property, every cent she'd ever poured into it. Her records showed she'd invested $400,000 of her own money into that land. She wanted it all back. And third, she demanded $100,000 in emotional damages for the psychological trauma Kody's actions caused, the destruction of the home she once believed would be her forever sanctuary. Total, $650,000. The room went silent. Kody's face drained of color. Robin looked ready to faint. Their lawyer sputtered, objected, called the figure outrageous. But before he could finish, the judge interrupted. She stared at the proposal, then at Kody and Robin, and said quietly, "Given the evidence I have seen, I find this proposal entirely reasonable." In that moment, it was over. Kody Brown, once the self-proclaimed patriarch of plural unity, had been stripped of his last illusion of power. Janelle didn't just win money, she won her freedom. The reckoning had come, and for the first time in decades, the balance of power in the Brown family finally shifted. Permanently. Permanently. What you're about to hear isn't just the conclusion to a lawsuit, it's the collapse of an empire, the final act in a tragedy years in the making. Kody Brown's downfall didn't happen in a courtroom. It happened the moment he chose his pride over peace, his rage over reason. When the judge leaned forward and said those fateful words, "In fact, I think Miss Brown is being generous." A jury might award her twice that. The color drained from Kody's face. The courtroom fell into a silence so thick it felt suffocating. For the first time, Kody realized he was no longer the man in control. He was the man being judged. The judge gave them 1 hour. 1 hour to decide between financial ruin and public humiliation. Either way, the dream was over. And in that single hour, every illusion Kody and Robin had built over the years came crashing down. They signed. Because what choice did they have? The settlement, $650,000, was immediate and non-negotiable. Kody and Robin were ordered to pay Janelle within 30 days. Janelle, calm and unshaken, agreed to hand over her share of Coyote Pass, land that had once symbolized family unity, but now stood as a graveyard of betrayal. She didn't look back. She didn't have to. She walked out of that courthouse a free woman, her dignity intact, her future finally her own. For Kody and Robin, however, the nightmare was only beginning. That $650,000 wasn't just a payment, it was a sentence. They didn't have the money. They didn't have the savings. What they did have was debt, denial, and a mansion they could no longer afford. According to sources close to the family, they were forced to take out a massive second mortgage, a desperate attempt to stay afloat. The interest alone was brutal, and the terms were predatory. Every month, that house drains them dry. The same home that once represented victory now feels like punishment, a gilded cage where every corner echoes with regret. Coyote Pass, once their promised land, is now a wasteland of scorched dreams and silent trees, a constant, haunting reminder of Kody's temper and Janelle's triumph. And the public shame? It's everywhere. Whispers turn to headlines. Headlines turn to outrage. Kody Brown, once portrayed as a misunderstood patriarch, is now being exposed as a vindictive abuser. Robin, once the image of grace and loyalty, is now seen as his accomplice, the woman who stood by and watched it all burn. Their reputation has collapsed. Their empire has crumbled. And Janelle? She's thriving. The payout became her resurrection. That money wasn't just currency, it was justice, proof that every quiet sacrifice she made was not in vain. She's already purchased her new property, away from the shadows of Flagstaff. A peaceful home surrounded by the very thing Kody tried to destroy. Trees. Real, rooted, living trees. Her dream has returned, stronger and greener than before. For Janelle, this was never just about money. It was about reclaiming her voice, her freedom, her life. She is done being a supporting character in Kody's chaos. She's building her own story now, one of peace, stability, and empowerment. But the ripple effects of this case are devastating the Brown family from the inside out. Kody's finances are collapsing, his marriage to Robin is cracking under the pressure. The love story they paraded on TV has turned into a claustrophobic nightmare. Every argument circles back to one thing: money. Or rather, the lack of it. Sources say Robin's anxiety has reached a breaking point. The house she once flaunted as her victory now feels like a tomb. She's terrified. Not just of losing it, but of losing the image of perfection she's built. And Kody? He's not taking responsibility. He's raging, blaming everyone but himself, Janelle, Christine, even the neighbor who caught the destruction on camera. He refuses to face the one truth that terrifies him most. He did this. And he's losing everyone. Garrison and Gabriel, Janelle's sons, have seen the footage. They've seen their father's destruction, his violence, his cruelty, and they're done. Any hope for reconciliation is dead. They've called him out in words so sharp they could cut glass, calling him a coward, a bully, a monster. Kody didn't apologize. He doubled down, and in doing so, he severed the final ties between father and sons. Meanwhile, Robyn is spinning her own version of events inside her home. Her children are being told that Kody is the victim, that Janelle is the villain, that the world is out to get them. It's a delusion that isolates them further, poisoning their view of the rest of the family. The Browns are no longer one family when they are two warring camps, trapped in a cold war with no chance of peace. And now there's the elephant in the room, the TLC show itself. How can SisterWives possibly continue after this? The network is reportedly in chaos. They can't ignore what happened. The footage exists, the evidence is public, and the fans know. But if they show it, the show implodes. Kody's brand, built over a decade, is destroyed. If they hide it, they'll be accused of covering up abuse. Either way, it's a death sentence for the series. The golden goose has finally stopped laying eggs. Kody's rampage didn't just destroy land, it destroyed his legacy. The man who once wanted to build a kingdom has now been left with ashes. His empire of wives, faith, and fame has collapsed into one thing: debt and disgrace. And when you really think about it, the symbolism is haunting. A bulldozer, a machine built to destroy, became his weapon of choice. A desperate man, stripped of control, sitting behind the wheel of a 20-ton monster, tearing down everything he couldn't control. The trees he flattened weren't just trees. They were Janelle's independence, her dreams, her roots. He didn't just destroy her land. He tried to destroy her future. But in the end, it wasn't Janelle who lost everything. It was him. Kody Brown bulldozed his own life, his marriage, his family, his reputation. He lit the match that burned down his empire. Now all that remains is rubble and silence. For Janelle, it's freedom. For Kody and Robyn, it's a lifetime of consequences. And that's where we leave them, in the wreckage of their own making. Because sometimes karma doesn't need to wait for the next life. Sometimes it shows up in a courtroom, holding a check for $650,000. Check for $650,000.